Hey guys, today I want to share with you about a query letter that I was able to review and critique today and the secrets and strategies and tips I pulled out of that review. So stay tuned. So here's what happened. This morning I was on Twitter and I saw somebody that I didn't know and didn't follow post on one writers community or writing community, and I saw somebody post on there that she was about to start querying for a novel and sending out query letters, and she was wondering if anybody would mind looking at her query letter and giving her some feedback. So I said, sure, I'll do it. I'll tell you, when I opened up this letter, I was blown away. It's very rare that I read a query letter from somebody who is seeking feedback where the letter is this good. Now, unfortunately, I can't share with you the full query letter because I don't have her permission to do that. It's about to send it out to actual literary agents, so I understand why she wouldn't want me to do that. However, I did want to share with you the gist of what kind of query letter it was and offer some tips that I got from reading the query letter. First of all, after reading it and being so impressed by it, I asked her, how did you put this together? Because I was pretty shocked. And she said that she had written that query letter this morning. She put the query letter together this morning from a couple old query letters that she had written, and she hated those other query letters. She actually wrote her query letter in the way that I write my query letters after studying them for 20 years and writing a book about the exact words, phrases, and templates for writing successful query letters. I'll link that book in the description. She put together this query letter by taking bits and pieces from other query letters that she had written in the past, query letters that she hated, but she took the best parts of those and then combined them into one query letter, the one that I read today, which probably is why it's so good. The other thing she did was follow, at least, a template that she had found on a blog. The template was of a query letter that actually was successful in getting a literary agent. It makes perfect sense to me because that's exactly how I write query letters now. I experiment and play around and usually write between 3 and 5 versions of a query letter. I take the best parts of all the different versions and combine them into one master version, if you will, that's usually the best of all of them. And I definitely recommend you doing the same. Follow a template, play around with different structures, different versions of your query letter. And then after you've created 3 to 5 versions, take the best pieces and parts from all those different versions and combine them into one master version. Okay guys, notice that I just completely changed clothes. I'm not a magician. I just actually discovered that I completely lost the end of that other video. Technology, right? So I went ahead and re-recorded the video so that you wouldn't miss out on any of the tips and strategies from that query letter case example. Enjoy. Okay guys, let's talk about what this author did really well with her query letter. Pull out some principles and strategies that we can use for our own letter. The first thing I want to say that this author did really well was how she structured her letter. Most authors put their setup, their introduction, at the beginning. Because she was following a template from a successful query letter she found on a blog, she actually put her setup information at the very end of her query letter. The setup is where you put your book title, your genre, and your word count. Her word count was actually 99,000, which I think is a lot, especially for a contemporary romance. But her query letter was so good, I bet she nailed the story too. For most genres like mysteries, thrillers, suspense novels, and even romances, you want to be between 80,000 and 100,000 words, and probably toward the lower end. But she was at 99,000, which was still in the range, but just close to the top. Some fantasy and science fiction novels can of course be even higher. But she gave all that information at the end of her query letter so she could start with her pitch. I thought that was a great idea because her pitch starts off with a real grabber, a real hook. Her query letter starts off with the main character, the female lead, running away from her problems. I love when a pitch gets right to the conflict, and that's what she did. An agent loves that too. The other thing this author did really well with her query letter is that she just focused on the 2 main characters, the male and female lead in this case, and just the main conflict, which was what was keeping those 2 apart. In a romance, the most important part of the story is what kind of conflict is keeping the 2 potential lovers apart. So she just focused on the main elements of the story. She kept it simple and narrow and focused. What you don't want to do is bog down your story with all kinds of details and subplots and secondary characters. Some stories require a little bit of explanation, especially if we're talking about different languages, different worlds, different races. But the less of all that setup and explanation that you can do, and the more you can just get right to the meat of the story, the better. The other thing she did really well was she had both characters being flawed. Demons and ghosts that they were dealing with. Both characters had reasons to stay apart. But like almost every good story, even though the main female character didn't want to spend time and pursue time with this male lead, in the story she was forced to be together with him. That's one of the keys and patterns in almost every successful query letter that I've ever read. The main characters are forced to be together. One of the things that a literary agent is going to be asking right from the start is, why don't the characters just walk away? If there's a reason to walk away, which would be the conflict in the story, why don't the main characters just walk away? So there has to be a compelling reason and a realistic reason for the characters to be forced together. Another great thing about this particular query letter is that there are high stakes whether the main characters open up to love, and even if they don't. So there's consequences, emotional and personal consequences in this case, for either choice. Which brings me to another thing that this author did really well, is she created a very difficult, emotional, conflict-ridden, and story-related choice for the characters to make. That's another pattern that I've seen in lots and lots of successful query letters that went on to get the author's agents and publishing deals. So those are some strategies that we can pull out from this query letter, this case study query letter, to use in your own query letters for your own novel. Like I said, I wish I could show you her full, complete template and query letter so you could copy those strategies by looking at the actual words. But I might have the next best thing. Check out the links in the description. Sign up for my Writing Secrets newsletter, and you'll automatically receive the query letter masterclass by email. It's completely free. It's a series of emails that'll give you samples, examples, and techniques to really 10x your query letter. And if you've enjoyed this video, please consider liking the video, subscribing to my channel, and letting me know in the comments what you think. I'd love to know your biggest questions and challenges for writing and working on your own query letters. That way I can make other videos that address those specific questions and specific challenges. As always, thank you so much for watching this video. I'll see you on the next one.